Thank you, everyone, for signing in and attending the presentation today. I'm Scott, the Director of the Career Development Office here. And I just wanted to welcome you and thank you for taking the time to do this. I'm going to go ahead and get started. If you can't see my screen or you have other difficulties, please feel free to text me. I'm monitoring the text box here. Okay, so I just want to talk a little bit about where we were when we started up in 2011. In 2011, one of the things that I noticed is we had very limited use of the alumni network. Students were not contacting alums. Alums weren't really contacting each other for the purposes of career exploration or networking. So that's one of the things that we identified we needed to change. We had zero use of the parent network. There was no active effort to, whoops, somehow my screen has decided to stop working. Hang on just a moment. There we are. There wasn't effective outreach to parents with regards to assistance with career planning. There were no 4-credit internship options. There was no meaningful performance measures. Really, there were no performance measures of any kind. There was a lot of data being generated, but there was no strategic planning used or developed as a result of that data. There was no job or internship development. The office in general had a lack of focus. And there was zero use of social media and available technology. So where are we now? And this is from April of 2013. The alumni in the KCN increased from 7,000 to 8,400, and a little more now. We have 600 plus parents signed up for our parent newsletter. We do have a 4-credit option for internships now, first time in Kenyon's history. It's called the XPS 205. It's a short class that I teach. That also has a after internship academic component, which allows students to get actual credit on their transcripts for completion of an internship. Our primary performance dashboard, we have 2, engagement and placement. And I'm going to go into a little bit more detail about both of those in a moment. These 2 help us focus the efforts of the office quite a bit. We've been able to develop over 300 internship opportunities, and that has been probably 75% from alumni. I would say about 25% from parents, but it has been a very effective effort that we've undertaken. We call it Internship Quest as part of our offerings every year. We now have companies like Revlon, Twitter, Google, Paul Weiss, and a number of others that are now recruiting from Kenyon. Most of this recruiting is done through the Slack consortium, but we have others, for instance, Paul Weiss, that recruits and has reserved 2 paralegal positions a year for Kenyon graduating seniors. We're thrilled with that, and we hope to expand on that. The original mission was quite a long one. It was about 2.5 paragraphs, and it was a wonderful mission statement if you like to read, but it didn't have anything specific or something that could be looked at with regards to where is the office going, what is the focus of the office. So I changed the mission statement to facilitate the career success of students and alumni. And I did put alumni in there very deliberately, because one of the things I make sure students know when they graduate is that we're here until they retire, or at least until I get fired, one or the other. A new director might have a different idea about this, but I truly believe that Kenyon is a place that should be serving its alumni, especially with career services, until they retire and decide they don't need us anymore. We now have appointment scheduling 24/7. Now, this is using a web-based, or Google appointments, actually. In the past, students had to call between normal business hours, 8:30 to 4:30, Monday through Friday, to be able to schedule an appointment. This allows them to schedule appointments 24/7. We now have over 95% of our appointments actually scheduled through the online system, and only about 5% that call to schedule an appointment. One of the interesting things about this is it tells me a little bit about how to communicate with students. The appointment schedule will generate an email to me or somebody else that is on the system anytime a student schedules an appointment. What's interesting about this is I can't tell you how many times my phone gives that little ding from an email coming in that's an appointment schedule anytime between midnight and 3 a.m. And quite often on the weekends. So it's allowing students to schedule appointments when they're having the conversations, when they're at their computers normally, and it's increased the number of appointments that we actually have. We now have Skype appointment availability. This was originally generated for juniors who are overseas studying abroad. But what I found is that students are using these quite frequently, as are alumni. We also have a Facebook page now. We have a YouTube channel, and we're launching a blog this summer. And that's something I'm going to want to talk to you about a little bit later. And we're also launching a Twitter feed. So where are we going? One of the things that I'm looking at really strongly at is faculty partnerships. And as an example, I'm currently partnering with Wendy Singer in the history department and other history faculty to develop a portfolio system that allows them to place confidential letters of recommendation into a student's portfolio. This is an idea that comes and goes with career centers, and in the past it was quite a big deal. And then as the internet became more and more prevalent and use of online systems became more and more prevalent, and went away. But now it's returning because the functionality seems to be able to accommodate what faculty really need. There are regional teams that I'm looking to develop to help with job and internship development. And for example, we do have a regional team in DC right now that is tasked with this, a team of about 10 individuals. And I'm hoping to meet with them over the summer and use that as something of a template and hopefully develop other regional teams in the future. We're doing what I'm calling senior class case management. And what I really mean by that is we're trying to the best of our ability to make sure that every senior has a plan when they leave Kenyon. Even if they don't have a job lined up yet, I mean ideally they do, or they have an acceptance to a graduate or pre-professional program. If that isn't the case, we still want them to have a plan. Last year we were able to identify that we had individual appointments during their senior year with 50% of the senior class. This year, utilizing that data and case management techniques, we're now at 76% have had an individual appointment with members of myself or my staff, and we've got a couple of weeks to go. We're pushing really hard. We're trying to hit 100%. I'm not sure we're going to be able to do that, but it's something we're really focused on. We are developing or trying to develop international internships, so if any of you work for organizations that have international presence, it would be wonderful if there were internship opportunities that we could develop there. Ideally, what I'm hoping for is that our juniors who are overseas, in addition to their academic work, are able to have an internship while they're there. We are doing cohort events on campus. The most recent one was done with our women swimmers, bringing women swimmer alumni back to campus to network and conduct a panel discussion for current women swimmers. We're also looking at different Greek organizations and working with the Archons right now to try to develop something very similar. And different or other academic environments, such as the Women and Gender Studies program. We're also working with them to do something very similar. We're finding it to be very cost effective and extremely useful. Our students are really interested in hearing from alums. And we're also looking at virtual interview days. I'm currently waiting to see how the SLAC consortium handles those. SLAC is the Selective Liberal Arts Consortium that we belong to, 14 or 13 other schools that are similar to Kenyon, and we work together on things like this. So the virtual interview days, that's down the road, but it's something I'm interested in seeing. So a little bit about how we use some of the data. This is just a snapshot of our Facebook analytics. This is a screenshot, so it's not interactive. If it was, I could mouse over some of these different bubbles, and it gives me an idea of what went on at that time that increased the number of hits, the number of people talking about the programs or whatever the effort was that we're pushing out. We found this has been helpful, and it's one of the things that we're doing to try to reach out to students. For our students, email is still useful, but it's not nearly the same as it is for professionals in the workplace that are kind of tied to their email. A lot of the work correspondence goes through there. For students, communication is much different for this generation than it has been in the past. We're always looking for different ways to be able to communicate with them. So overall class engagement, this was last year, last academic year, and what you can see is there's a bit of a crescendo with a dip in juniors. I attribute that to the overseas environment or the time they spend overseas, which is why we started the Skype appointments. And with our seniors, we're actually now at about 86% that have had some touch point with us this year. Last year it was 80%. And that touch point is either an appointment or have attended a workshop or an alumni panel or something like that. This is a baseline. This was the first year that we actually did or last year was the first year we did this engagement analysis, and so we're looking to build on that. So one of the things Nicole asked me to talk about is how class agents can help. I'm thrilled to have any assistance from alumni, class agents, or classes in particular. Big ones would be to please fill out your LinkedIn profile and your KCN profile and be open to contact from students or other alums. And to the best of your ability, if you can encourage people to be responsive to student inquiries. Part of what I'm discovering is that alumni are busy. They're very busy folks, and so sometimes they can't be immediately responsive. It'd be great if a quick email could be sent out saying something effective, busy time of year right now, I'll get back to you in a bit. Something like that, just so the student knows that there's somebody out there. The vast majority of times that already occurs, but I've had a few students, probably 10 this year, indicate that they didn't hear back from an alum. So just throwing that out. Discover other alums that are willing to assist, perhaps during your development calls. That's something that if you get a sense that there might be some interest there, I'd love to hear about it. I'm happy to reach out if you want to just give me the contact information, or please feel free to share my contact information at will. You can also connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm thrilled to hear from our alums that way. What we're really trying to do here is be a major hub for all Kenyon students, alums, and employers so that we can connect people to one another. This is never more important than when a student comes in and says, I'm interested, for instance, I had this recently, I'm interested in politics and finance. And I just had recently gotten an email from a Kenyon parent who works at an organization called SIFMA, which is the lobbying arm in DC for the finance industry. It was one of those, connect the dot moments type of thing. And the more connections that we have here at the CDO, the more likely those type of things are to occur. So what do students want? Really what they want is advice and information on, how do you get jobs? How do you get internships? We can talk to them ad nauseum, but they love to hear from alums. One of my favorite questions that students ask is, what was your path after Kenyon? How did you get from being a MLL major to being a communications director at a major corporation? For them, it feels very nebulous, so any information that you can give would be wonderful. They are looking for interviews, both informational interviews, and if you have an organization that would be interested in interviewing a Kenyon student, that would be wonderful as well. And I would also ask a little bit of patience. These are young people, and this is a different generation. They have grown up with different communication structures, so some of their communication can be a little rough. Please feel free to give direct feedback, but if you get some indication and encourage others around this that the communication is a little less than professional and you're not comfortable with sharing that with the student, please get in touch with me. I'm more than happy to sit down with the student and make sure that they're communicating in the appropriate ways. Okay, if you have any questions, I really would like to hear from you, so please call or email. You can call myself, Scott Layson, or you can call Leslie Harding at the number below, and those are our email addresses as well. We would love to hear from you. So at this time, if you know how to use the chat feature in the system, I'd be thrilled to take any questions.